All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Second hour of our 2-hour extravaganza here as we're here on SportsGrid, but don't despair. We've got Final Four coverage coming your way later this afternoon. Of course, two huge games, Florida-Auburn, and then Duke against Houston. That's coming your way later tonight. George, let's talk about some players on the potential waiver wire on the younger side that you could pick up and maybe play at some point this season. Of course, it depends on your roster, depends on if you have the space to be able to do it. We'll start off with a pitcher on the Pittsburgh Pirates. They did call up Thomas Harrington. Some people feel Bubba Chandler is a better pitcher than Harrington, so maybe playing the service time, just wait a little bit, May, June, July, who really knows? We're going to see him at some point this season. George, it's just natural in fantasy and in reality to understand that you're not going to have 5 starters over the course of the year. Pittsburgh is very fortunate that they had 5, 6, 7, even with Jared Jones. But I would imagine that Chandler would be the next man up. It just comes down to when Pittsburgh wants to make that call.
I agree with everything you said. Right. I think he's better than Harrington, by the way. I think he might be the best starting pitcher in the minor leagues that we haven't seen yet. So the problem is going to be this. I mean, when all these guys we're talking about, and if you only have 3-man reserves, you can't take any of them. 5-man, you can think about it. 8, sure. Because someone like Chandler, I love Chandler. I think he's going to be great, but what's he helping you with this year? I mean, wins are going to be tough to come by. Quality starts, probably not happening. They're going to baby him. All right, so what are you hoping for? A whole bunch of strikeouts here? The ratios to be good? He's not going to help you in too many categories here if you're playing a rotisserie league. So it's not going to be easy with Chandler. I said, I love the player. Love him. I just don't know if I want to waste a roster spot. If you only have 5 reserves, now you have 4. Because as you said, they're playing the service time game. May not seem to the end of May, right, when Super 2 is done. So I love the player. I just don't see enough upside for me to waste a roster spot if I have 5 or less reserves. If I have 8, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, would agree. And it just depends on the roster size. Another player who I think we'll see at some point this season, maybe with Arizona. And again, don't forget, maybe another team. Jordan Lawler, he is the next top infield prospect potentially to get the call. Arizona does tend to be loaded. Of course, they do have great infielders as it stands. It's only a matter of time here, George, before we see this player again.
The problem with Lawler has been he's been disappointing in the minor leagues. He is not sort of reaching the potential they thought about him. Now, Ketel Marte got hurt last night, by the way. As our man behind the glass, Sam Yarnell, and I were on Game Time Decisions when he pulled up lame, I think, on a double there. Hamstring strain is what they're calling it. So we'll see if he's going to go on the IL possibly. And could that be an opening for Lawler? Sort of waiting for him to get the opportunity because I wonder if he's going to be this guy, Craig. Okay, the numbers in the minor leagues are not great for what we thought he was going to become, but if he gets promoted, all of a sudden he'll be that guy again. He needs that extra juice, that sort of thing. So interesting, but am I stashing him? Probably not. Once again, if I have 8 reserves, I can afford to do it. 5 or less, I am not a big enough believer for me to waste that spot or kill that spot for, once again, weeks, months, days. We don't know. So I don't think Lawler's, he's just not going to be, in my mind, good enough for me to, Lawler's up. He's going in my lineup now. I don't see that. Not right away.
All right, fine. The Orioles, no strangers to having players ready to go. They too have 2 more players here, George, and not surprisingly, they're both on offense. I mean, the Orioles continue to have this model, it just seems like, where they're going to be in a position to win and then make their moves at the deadline for pitching. It just seems like that's their MO at this point because Samuel Basallo is the very best catching prospect in baseball. He could probably start for a lot of teams right now, but they have Adley Rutschman. And I think, George, if they were going to trade him, they would have done it already. And then maybe the same could be said for Colby Mayo. He has no spot also. And he plays third, he plays first, he plays the infield. The Orioles, you may remember last year, had another player, a couple of players actually, named Connor Norby, Kyle Stowers, traded them both to Miami. So, I mean, they're just loaded. They continually have players that are ready to go. I know they lost Cowser this week for a period of time, but the Orioles seem to be very bullish on being patient, not diving into free agency in a big way with pitchers, and then sort of seeing where they're at in July and knowing that they have this constant stable of players coming and then maybe trading them for a pitcher or two. Look, they're going to be competitive every year, but to get over the top at some point, they're going to have to go back into that like Burns category to get a pitcher. Do you think that they trade either of these guys and get a pitcher, or are we just simply going to wait for these guys to get called back up?
This is why I was so disappointed about Baltimore in the offseason, because everything you said is true. They have young position players up the wazoo. You can't play them all. I mean, Pizzalo, by the way, sort of another interesting problem, because if you want him to be a catcher, well, then he has to catch. He can't play first base or DH because that sort of stunts his development of catcher, which means you have to keep him in the minor leagues because, as good as a hitter he is, and he might end up being a better hitter than Rutschman, by the way, he's not going to replace Rutschman right now. So you're sort of stuck there. He has to be in the minor leagues until you decide what you're going to do with him. You're going to trade him. You're going to put him at first base and just ruin the catcher value, whatever you're going to do there. But I love the player. Absolutely love the player. And Mayo, as you said, they have 17 guys, it seems like, on the current roster that are just like him. They're all good, and they can't all play here. I didn't understand why in the offseason they didn't trade one or two of these guys. And when I say trade, I don't mean give them away, but go get that pitcher you needed, especially if you knew you weren't going to re-sign Corbin Burns. You don't want to pay $200 million for Burns for whatever reason, fine, but you can't go into the Steelers' rotation that you have now. I mean, are you going to be talking to Miami again? And try to get one of their pitchers here? Or are you talking to somebody else? Is that where Mayo's going to go? Is that where Kerstad's going to go? Or Cowser when he's healthy? I guess, but I agree with you. I assume by the deadline, that's when they'll trade one or two of these guys for a top free agent starter.
Yeah, they do have another player too, by the way, in the outfield. Former first-round pick Judd Fabian also played for the University of Florida. He looks like a potential star in the making at outfield too. They don't have any stretch of the imagination. They could just keep going with these players. The Red Sox can kind of do the same thing. Eventually, they'll have Roman Anthony in the big leagues. He was fantastic in spring training. They have Marcelo Mayer, who they took in the first round a couple of years ago. George, looks like he's coming up and being, touted as someone that is ready to go. No real spot for him. I don't think as of now. He's already in AAA. And do you think he makes his debut, George, with the Red Sox or somebody else?
Well, I think it's with the Red Sox because I think you can make an argument. The worst thing that happened to the Sox is Story to get up to a hot start, right? Because that's the spot. That's where Mayer's got to go. Shortstop. He is their shortstop of the future. If Story would have got up to a slow start, that future could have been end of April, early May. So that's what it could have been there. But hey, Story's actually playing pretty well right now, so that might delay Mayer a little bit. But this is another player. You said it, Mayer. They already signed Campbell. You got Roman Anthony, who's better than all of these guys, by the way. Just waiting for a spot to open up. That's all they are, waiting for that spot. Maybe the Red Sox are playing the service time game a little bit as well here. But, I don't really blame them because they have good players in place anyway. Abreu, Rafael, guys like that. But these guys are coming up. The Red Sox have good young players. Maybe not as many as Baltimore, but I would argue that Anthony and Mayer are better than anyone that Baltimore can bring up.
All right, infielder on Milwaukee, Caleb Durbin, can steal some bases, do a lot of different things. He's in the minor leagues with the Brewers right now. The Brewers not probably off to the start that they wanted to get off to, and certainly there's a chance that we could see him in the big league soon.
Yeah, sort of a guy who would a category filler. He was acquired by the Brewers in the Devin Williams trade, along with Nestor Cortez from the Yankees there. Some thought he was going to win the second base job outright to start the season. That didn't happen there. But he's a guy, when he gets called up, you already said it, stolen bases. That's what he can do for you there. Out of all the players we've mentioned, he's probably the bottom of this list. All right. The guy who I'd rather have almost any of the other guys we talked about. They are higher upside. Durbin is more just that category filler. All right. He's that guy where if I needed bases and he got called up, I'd want Caleb Durbin.
And finally, Drake Baldwin's getting a chance, I think, George, to show what he can do, although Sean Murphy is going to come back soon. So I don't know how long-lived or short-lived his time's going to be.
Yeah, I think Murphy's coming back this weekend or shortly next week there. So Baldwin, who I think might have gotten his first hit last night, maybe, if I saw that correctly there. His time's about over. Best chance he gets is the low end of a timeshare.
All right, we'll be back and take a look at the matchups this weekend in fantasy baseball. Don't go away. Be right back.
Guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with it, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports today here on SportsGrid. Final Four, Masters, NFL Draft, White Sox, Tigers. Same category, right? All right, here we go. Saturday, Davis Martin against Reese Olson later today. First game on the board, I think, today. Martin Perez against Jackson Jobe. I do like Jobe a lot. He didn't look great his first time out. I do believe in the Tigers, by the way. I do think that they're going to be good. But again, not the most scintillating of matchups to start off with. I think we lost some viewers there, George, as we just began.
I mean, listen, all right, I'll be Professor Positive here. I want to see Jackson Jobe. All right. Listen, Davis Martin and Reese Olson. I'm the guy with 6 TVs. I really hope there's 6 other games I can watch other than having this game on. If this is the first game of the day, then I probably will be watching at least a little bit of it because there won't be anything else on here. But I don't have much interest. I do think this. I think Riley Green's going to be a real star player. I think he's going to be the next 30-30 guy that we can rely on here. And I said, I do want to watch Jackson Jobe tomorrow. Casey Mize I'm interested in as well. I think he goes against the Yankees on Monday. So I'm curious about him. And we all know Tariq Skubal is great. But Detroit, another team, the pitching I think is going to be there. Do they have enough offense? You know, the Chicago White Sox, how many games are they going to lose? 100, 110?
Was that a question? I don't know exactly, George, if it's going to be 110. All right, Astros and Twins. Boy, Twins. Oof, gosh, I got to get going here a little bit. Spencer Arrighetti against Bailey Ober. That's today. Tomorrow is the better matchup maybe of the two. Ronel Blanco against Chris Paddock. Paddock, not great also his first time out. Yeah, Twins fans a little frustrated, George, like Pirates fans a little bit, I feel like. Twins are going to be better than the Pirates, by the way. I think they're a little frustrated too. It's kind of like, feels like a little going through the motions a little bit. And then, of course, players getting injured out for them again, second straight year, Royce Lewis out. But I think Houston's probably the better team and probably has the better pitching matchups. Is it fair to say on both sides here?
I mean, Arrighetti Ober, I guess you can make an argument is even. I would probably rather have Blanco and Paddock. Paddock, I think I've expected more out of him. We haven't really gotten it yet. Are the Twins being sold? Right? Are they trying to be sold? I think they are. And I think what if that explains why they didn't do anything in the offseason. Right? You didn't add anybody. All right. Just strange for a team that's really been in the playoff mix. I mean, I know they seem to get eliminated by the Yankees every year, but they've been in the playoff mix year after year after year. It's not a great division. right? Cleveland sort of took a step back to it, the trades they made, all right? Detroit and
Yep.
Kansas City are upcoming, but the Twins aren't behind these teams. They're all about even, and yet they did
That's
nothing.
fair. Yeah.
You know, the Royce Lewis thing, I mean, if I'm a Twin fan, I mean, you had to live through Buxton, right? A superstar, but can't stay healthy at all. And now Lewis is looking like he's following that same path. Right? He's a really good player, really good young player, but he can't stay healthy one little bit. You know, so it's going to be demoralizing a little bit.
Yeah. All right. We've got the Padres taking on the Cubs. Should be a fun, competitive series this weekend at Wrigley Field. Nick Pivetta looked fantastic for the Padres in his first start. He'll face Matthew Boyd today. And then I think you probably flip around the favorite here with Kyle Hart facing off against Ben Brown on Sunday with the Cubs, George. But really good sign for the Padres with Pivetta. Padres are playing great. The pitching has been great, too. Pivetta's bounced around the league now the last few years, but always shows like is this going to be the year? Like a promise. He finally did it last year, got paid on it. Maybe it's just legit. Maybe he's just going to have another good year with San Diego.
I think he will. He's a guy I think I mentioned a couple times on this show or other shows that I was surprised he didn't get a bigger contract. I think starting pitching is a dearth of starting pitching throughout baseball, yet people didn't seem to want it or aren't dying for him. And he signed, I don't want to say a team-friendly deal, but I thought he'd get a better deal than what he got with San Diego. So, yeah, I think Pivetta is, he's not Schoolbull. He's not Zach Wheeler. You know, he's not nice SP3. So, yeah, I kind of like Pivetta. Certainly like him today against Boyd. Hart and Brown tomorrow. I mean, okay, not exactly the marquee pitching matchup there. We'll see how that works out. I think I saw Ben Brown last year against the Mets. That didn't go well for him. So, I think there'll be a more runs scored in tomorrow's game than there will be in today's.
All right, Diamondbacks and Nationals. My God, I mean, I cannot believe that our producer, Sam, actually has a Nationals, I don't want to say a mistake, but, a graphic that's not going to be, I mean, shocking to see. Yeah, it is shocking to see this. I can't believe it because Sam, our producer, is such a big fan. I would have thought that he would have given us the replacement for Michael Soroka, who's going on the injured list here, but he did not. That's shame on you. I know, but don't put Soroka there. He's not pitching. He's on the IL. Eduardo Rodriguez, but he's out. He's on the IL. It can't be. The graphic for CBD.
Wow.
Okay,
Glasses,
the graphic does, but
glasses.
George doesn't see the rundown here. It says Soroka. Eduardo Rodriguez against Mitchell Parker.
I don't get blamed on this.
I mean, he makes zero mistakes like in a year, and then this one, it's like I just know that I know this guy's not starting. Is it Strasburg? Corbin Burns starts Sunday. But who do we know? Sam, come on, you know the Nationals better than me. Brad Lord, who is that? Corbin Burns is going to beat Washington Sunday. So the question is Eduardo Rodriguez going to beat Mitchell? But I like Mitchell Parker. I think he's okay. But is Eduardo Rodriguez going to beat Mitchell? If that's the case, the Washington's going to start off 1-8.
Well, they're not beating Corbin Burns, right? So we know that's a loss there. I mean, you hate to see that they're going to get swept, but Eduardo Rodriguez is better than Parker as well. But like I said, Nocatel Marte today, I guess that could play an effect here. Still, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be betting on Washington. They're not playing well. Dylan Cruz is not hitting. It's really Abrams and what James Wood can give you.
We've got the Dodgers-Phillies, this epic series that has started. Phillies look great, too, by the way. All of a sudden, it just took them beating the Dodgers once for everybody to say, Phillies are legit. Sasaki will start. Get a look at him. And Aaron Nola will start for the Phillies. And then Sunday, it's Glasnow and Sanchez. Probably the best series of the weekend.
Absolutely here. With Sasaki, it's all about can he hit the strike zone with the secondary pitches, right? That's been the problem. All his off-speed pitches, he cannot throw a strike, and the teams know it, so they're laying off it. And he's going 3-2 on every batter. So Sasaki's going to be fine, but he needs to hit the strike zone.
All right, we got a lot more previews to go, so we'll do it next, and we will begin with the Yankees and Pirates. Don't go away.
These guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but Torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We got Gray Albright coming up in about 5 minutes. Let's try and burn through some of the previews today for those of you getting ready to watch baseball this weekend. Saturday, it is Marcus Stroman going for the Yankees against Bailey Falter. Sunday, it is Will Warren against Andrew Heaney. With the way the Yankees are playing right now, you'd be nuts to back the Pirates. And generally speaking, I'm fair about this sort of stuff. For everyone who knows me here on the network for years, but I am not backing Pittsburgh until I see something different.
No, agreed here. It's not great pitching for the Yankees either. Stroman, we'll see. We know he's a 5-and-fly guy at best here, but I don't see how you're backing Pittsburgh. And maybe no Tommy Pham here. Only question is how many home runs does Judge hit? Well, the Yankees in general.
We got the Orioles taking on the Royals. We'll get another look at Sugano. He's pitching against Michael Wacha of the Kansas City Royals. And then Sunday, it is Cade Povich against Chris Bubik. Probably advantage Sunday, Kansas City is the only thing that sticks out to me here.
Let's say the over on Sunday. Looks like there would be some runs scored there. Sagano, once again, I want to see how he does in his second start. Walker, these are all serviceable guys. That's what they are. They're nothing special, nothing sexy here. So runs should be scored this weekend for both teams.
Cardinals and Red Sox, speaking of runs being scored, probably a lot more coming this weekend. Yes, the Cardinals matchup of Palante Fitz. Well, it seems like every 4 and 5 is going this weekend in baseball. I don't know from looking at this. Palante and Fitz, Saturday and Sunday. It is Miles Michaelis against Sean Newcomb. Yes, that's Sean Newcomb from several years ago is back with the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, I noticed earlier, one of the segments we talked about earlier, 2-star pitchers next week, that a lot of them were aces. All right, if you look at that list here. So that means you're going to get a lot of 4s and 5s this weekend. So, yeah, it's like I said, it could be a very high-scoring weekend, but you want to be careful with the weather here. All the weather throughout the Northeast, a lot of rain here, including Boston.
We've got the Rays and Rangers going at it. I think that this is very one-sided on Saturday and very one-sided on Sunday. You have Taj Bradley, who I like a lot, but it is against Jacob deGrom. You probably would side with Texas. And then on the flip side, based on what we saw from Kumar Rocker, George, I don't know, man. Like, that guy's got to get it figured out pretty quick here, throwing too many right down the middle. I'll probably side with Tampa Bay on Sunday.
Oh, agree with you on both parts here, right? And Rasmussen, by the way, is decent. He's somebody you could look at picking up here, especially if they're going to stretch him out and go the 5 innings, 6 innings. I like Rasmussen a bunch. DeGrom was very good in his first start here, so maybe he is back to being DeGrom, but they're probably going to baby him again today.
Okay, Blue Jays taking on the Mets this weekend. Today, the Blue Jays will start Chris Bassett against the Mets. We'll see Griffin Canning pitch for them. And then Bowden Francis on Sunday for Toronto against David Peterson. The only good news for those guys, I don't think either of those pitchers is going more than 5 innings, but the good news is that usually on Sunday everybody just swings at the first pitch. So that's the hope for that game.
Travel day. They got to get out. Got to get out. Travel day. With the Mets, it's always about their starters. Okay, hey, another guy who's a journeyman, not really a start here. How far can he go? Got a great start from McGill last night. We'll see what they get from Canning and then Peterson on Sunday here. Bowden Francis, by the way, has been really good since he got called up last year. I mean, he seems to take a no-hitter to the 6th inning every game. I like Bowden Francis.
All right. We also on Saturday have Brady Singer going at it with a pretty distinct favored matchup against Elvin Rodriguez of Milwaukee. And then Milwaukee does like this pitcher I know a lot, Chad Patrick. He's going to start on Sunday against Carson Spears of the Cincinnati Reds.
Once again, you think runs are coming here, right? But hey, Cincinnati can't score any. So hopefully they get their offense back on track here. But then, once again, this looks like a higher scoring weekend, but the Reds are in an offensive funk right now. I wouldn't be banking on them.
All right, so the Marlins get off to a great start to their season. They've fallen back now a little bit, back-to-back losses to the Mets and then last night to the Braves. Probably very distinct favored matchups for Atlanta, at least on Saturday. Right now it says TBD for the Marlins. I believe that's going to be Cal Quantrill going up against A.J. Smith-Scheuer. Braves will be, again, hugely favored. Sunday's TBD is expected to be Sandy Alcantara. He's the listed starter. If he goes, that would give Miami certainly a chance against Grant Holmes on Sunday. You know, I've obviously do work covering the Marlins on their pregame shows here, George. I could tell you that the unfortunate part about Miami going into Atlanta this weekend is they got a very angry team after losing 7 games in a row. And sometimes when that happens, things tend to go sideways. So we'll see what happens this weekend. But I do believe that in order for Miami to compete this weekend against Atlanta, they're going to have to score runs. I think the Braves offense has shown nothing until last night. You saw what they can do.
Yeah, you said an angry Braves team, especially how they lost that last game in Los Angeles, right? Blowing a 5-0 lead with Ohtani, the game-winning home run here. So Atlanta, hey, if things go right, they could be 3-7 at the end of this weekend. I mean, after an 0-7 start, it certainly could be a lot worse.
All right, we'll be back with Gray Albright of Razzball breaking it all down for you. Don't go away.
Guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish along with George Kurtz. Hot starts in fantasy baseball, cold starts as well. Nobody to speak more on that than one of the best fantasy baseball players out there, Gray Albright of Razzball, winning championships year after year. And also you can go to razzball.com, pick up a membership. And we just went through streaming options. Gray has those options for you as well going into the week. Let's start off, Gray, and talk about some hot starts. And we've done enough Aaron Judge on this show. Everybody knows who the guy is. Everybody knows he hits a bunch of home runs. Okay, fantasy baseball, you're not having any mystery here. Now, let's go to, okay, Sam, we see it again. Let's go to a player that has shocked fantasy players thus far. That's Ivan Herrera, the catcher on the St. Louis Cardinals. Catcher, generally, Gray, not a position, if we have you on for the next 25 weeks, that we'll talk about maybe even ever again after this week. But is anything to this legitimate? Is this just a very hot random start and Herrera only has 5 home runs the rest of the season? This dude hit 3 in one game, followed it up with another home run again in draft season. Didn't really hear his name a lot as like a top 5 catcher at all. Is he? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's actually what's kind of funny with Herrera is also on the Cardinals. Wilson Contreras was being drafted in the top 3 for catchers because he was going to play every day at first base. So that was really where everyone's money was going in auctions, and everyone was thinking Contreras was going to be the guy, and then you have Ivan Herrera come out of nowhere and really just light the world on fire. Right now on the Razzball 7-day play rater, he's in the top 5 for all players. And, the top 5 is like the Aaron Judge, all the hot Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, all the really big names that have started off hot. And then it's like Ivan Herrera. But to your question, can this continue? I don't think so. I'd be really shocked because right now, I mean, his batting average is 400. That's ridiculous. I mean, he's not Ted Williams. The power, while great, it was 3 homers in one game. So when you have only, 6 or 7 games total and you have one game with 3 homers, it's going to outweigh, the sample size so largely that it's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, maybe he hits like 3 homers a month, which would still be great. Don't get me wrong. For a catcher, 18 homers is solid, but 18 homers over the course of the season, when you get down to it, is like, it's okay. What is that? Carlos Santana, the baseball player, not the singer. It's like, it's fine. It's okay, but it's nothing really to write home about. So if anyone is biting in your league, like, and you can sell high, I would absolutely sell high.
Speaking of cold players, or in generalities here, nothing specific, I'm not talking about guys you drafted in the 23rd round, right? We're turning that part of the roster over and over again anyway. But as far as one of your core players, Gray, when do you start to worry that, okay, it's not happening this year, I got to move on from this, or I got to bench this guy, or I just have to, I can't deal with this player anymore? I mean, it's only April 5th, so I know it's not now. Are you somebody, Memorial Day? When do you start to worry about core players?
Well, I mean, it depends on really like what you mean by core player. Like if you're talking like, say, Bobby Witt Jr., then you're going down with the ship with him. It's not like I wouldn't sell him low ever. I would basically just ride it out. And if it happens to be an off year for him, then you're getting an off year. In reality, I'm sure at some point he's going to turn it on and you'll be fine. But if you're looking at a core player like, say, Dylan Cruz, who was drafted around like 120 overall in the $15 range in 12-team mixed league auctions, he's someone I'm really concerned about. Right now, he's got around a 44% strikeout rate. He's hitting .045. He's done nothing. And he's also hitting, I believe, 8th in the Nationals lineup, which is not a great lineup to begin with. So you have a guy who's hitting 8th in a bad lineup with no real power to speak of, who's striking out over 40% of the time, you got to cut bait there really fast. I would probably hold for another week, but then you got to start making some hard decisions. Even if you did draft him fairly high, not as high as, Bobby Witt, as I mentioned, but still high enough where you got to look at, and you got to make some hard decisions where you're like, Dylan Cruz just does not look like he's ready right now. It's still early. I would give him another week to see, and then, look and see where he's at. But strikeout rates, they stabilize pretty fast. So when a guy's striking out 40 plus percent of the time, it's like, yeah, that's really bad.
The stolen base leader in Major League Baseball right now is O'Neal Cruz, Gray, which is a big story right now with the Pirates because they're not playing well. Kiner Falefa's actually stolen a bunch of bases too. It seems like they're very aggressive on the base paths, but they're getting thrown out a lot too. Like, it's a very odd first week of baseball for Pittsburgh. Cruz, certainly hit a home run. I saw it in person against Miami. He doesn't look like he can play center field though, Gray. And, you're getting shortstop eligibility. You're going to get outfield, I guess, eligibility here, but Cruz, what the pace is for 100 and plus steals, he may actually get there. I think that's a possibility, but it's a weird team and it's a weird start for him in particular.
Yeah, I was watching one of the games that you mentioned, and he would be in the outfield, and like a ground ball was, by the time it got to him in center field, it was like going, like 10 miles per hour, and he just bumbled it. It was like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on with him in the outfield. He does not look comfortable at all, though. But for our purposes, that doesn't really matter. For steals, yeah, I mean, the Pirates, it's almost like Derek Shelton said to them in the preseason, like, hey guys, we're all going to run. I don't care. Let's just run. It doesn't matter. The other team that loves to do that is the aforementioned Nationals. Like last year, Davey Martinez, they just ran all the time, whether it was good or not. Like you see a guy like Lane Thomas, when he was on the Nationals, he had like 20 plus steals. He got traded to the Guardians and he just stopped running. But anyway, with O'Neal Cruz, he could, the ankle injury was in 2023, so he was coming off of that last year. He looked like he was real tentative on the base paths, coming off of that injury that knocked him out for almost the entire season. And now this year he looks comfortable. He's running. I wish I had more shares. I think it's great for fantasy. If he can put up 25, 30 homers and steal 50 plus bags, we're talking about a top 10 overall guy, easy. So yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing with O'Neal Cruz when it comes to the bat.
Great, we got a little over a minute left here. Freddie Freeman goes down for the Dodgers, and it doesn't matter here. Tommy Edman, I mean, my God, this guy looks like an early season MVP. Can we rely on Edman all season long?
Yeah, I kind of like Edman. I wish I would have gotten him in more leagues, because if you look at his numbers, like going back to the last time he was healthy, he had 13 homers and 27 steals. And he's always been a guy with good contact, around 15% strikeout rate. So if he's able to put up like a 15, 25, 255 season in that good lineup, that's valuable. I like Tommy Edman a lot. I think you can actually probably acquire him from people who think they're selling high.
Interesting stuff, Gray. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll catch up again next week on Fantasy Sports Today. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Gray Albright with us of Razzball.com. We'll take a quick out and play a little buy or sell next.
Guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports today here on SportsGrid. We're going to go through some fantasy questions, Q&A, as we get ready to wrap things up here on this Saturday. Time now to play a little buy or sell. Oh, look, it's a historical start to say the least for Aaron Judge, who's on pace to hit over 100 home runs. We know that's not going to happen, but you got to start asking the question as to how many home runs this guy can actually hit. Is 70 even in the picture at this point? I wonder if we'll play that game of buy or sell soon, but let's just play the game that seems the fairest at this point, which would be 60 home runs. George, buy or sell? Aaron Judge will hit 60 plus home runs this season. Is this a buy or sell?
Talked about it earlier in the show. Last year, I said Yankee fans were actually booing him off the field because he was terrible in April. He was just bad. He wasn't locked in, and he had Juan Soto hitting in front of him, and I think he had one home run in April. He ended with 58. I mean, I said you can't extrapolate, but he's got to a hot start now. Before the ball even starts flying out of Yankee Stadium, right? One thing I've noticed, and I'm a Judge fan, I'm a Yankee fan, he's pulling the ball with power from the beginning. Usually in April, May, it's all the opposite way as he locks himself in, which a lot of players do. Now he's having no problem pulling the ball. I mean, hitting rockets here. Yeah, I'm buying this. I am fully buying this. I think this is almost an every year thing. I think the only way he doesn't do this is one of two things. One, he gets hurt. Obviously, we can say that about everything, right? He gets hurt, he's not going to do it. And two, I think it will be a matter of time till pitchers go, nope, not you. Go to first, sir. Go to first. Let Jazz Chisholm beat you. Let Austin Wells beat you. Paul Goldschmidt, who's ever batting fourth. All right, we're not letting Judge beat us here. And we've seen managers do that over and over again. Milwaukee did it last weekend. They put Judge on first base with nobody out. Nope, had enough of you. And we saw it last year with John Schneider, the manager of the Blue Jays. I think he had a great quote at the end of the game. I was tired of watching him swing. All right, go to first base. And I think that is going to happen eventually more and more often.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm going to sell this because I'm betting on that. And I'll always bet against health. And it has nothing to do with Judge. But Judge being out for 2 weeks eliminates this. So I'm going to sell. It's not to say that if we repose this question with 40, I'd buy. If we repose the question with 50, I probably would buy too. 60, is that still historical number? I know that he's done it. Would I be excited to see him chase 70? Of course, who wouldn't be? But I would bet against that. It's just a very high number, and everything has to go right for it to happen. All right, fantasy baseball. Let's be honest, George. There's a lot of things antiquated about this game that we love. Man, I would love to try some new little wrinkles here. And so for Sam's question here on the show, I think it's at least fair to ask the question with catchers in fantasy baseball, and sometimes we're playing in 2 catcher leagues. Why at this stage of the game? I have no idea. If you're still doing it, you're behind in the times. Buy or sell, catchers should get a fantasy point for throwing out runners trying to steal. So essentially awarding a defensive play to get an offensive point in fantasy. You going to buy or sell this?
I gotta tell you, I've been playing fantasy baseball since the late '80s. Never even thought about this. Doesn't mean I'm against it, by the way. I just never even thought about this because we don't give any position player outside of pitchers points for defense, right? I mean, so this never even crossed my mind. I hate the catcher position because they get hurt so much. You play in a 2 catcher league, I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's like, what are we doing here? There are not 24, assuming a 12-team league, there are not 24 catchers to draft in baseball. There's just not. Although I'm the first person to tell you, Herrera's probably out there in a bunch of leagues there because we didn't see that power coming. No. Should he get a point? I think if you're going to do this, by the way, why a point? What are you throwing out? 1, 2 base runners a week? It's 2 points. Who cares? You know, shouldn't it be more? I mean, if we're going to do this, should we do it right? Should it be 5 points? You know, so I would probably go that direction. If you're going to do it right. Give it more points. And by the way, then let's go further. You make an error, you're losing points. No one gets an error anymore. All right. If you get an error, it means you really screwed up. Watching that Yankee-Pittsburgh game yesterday, because I think it was who cares? Somebody hit the ball hard to Isaiah Falefa at shortstop. He didn't have to move, but he dropped it. They called it a hit because he hit the ball hard. It was a 3-hopper. Oh, hard hit, error. So let's do that too. So yeah, I'm kind of on board with this, but you need more than one. It can't just be a point that's meaningless. You need more than one.
Yeah, a couple things I'd like to add. So the first thing is a great question. The second thing is I still am a believer that fantasy baseball in the season-long format will never go away. There will always be a niche group of people who are playing it. I have been one of those people who's been hosting shows for 20, 30 years on it, but I'm also facing, I'll be right back here. I'm also facing the reality of the situation, which the bottom line is that when you look at the landscape of fantasy, a lot more people have moved on to prop betting. There are these other websites like Underdog and these prize things where you don't have to play season-long fantasy anymore. So the question becomes, like, George and I doing this show for you Saturday mornings, what will this look like in 5 years? I know what it'll look like next year. I think I know what it'll look like in 2 years from now. But in 5 years, will there still be that many people engaged in this game as opposed to props and other ways to play fantasy? I'm buying this. I think it's a good question for Sam. I think we should change scoring systems to make fantasy baseball more fun. See if we can move the game in a different direction to get more people engaged. Again, it's still going to be around. People always will be playing fantasy, season-long, head-to-head, etc. But I do think we have to change the way that we view things and evolve. The Braves are now 1-7. George, there's been no team in the history of Major League Baseball to start off 0-7 season. Buy or sell, the Braves will make the playoffs.
You know, teams go on 7-game losing streaks during the middle of the season quite often and still make the playoffs. But it's just that no one's ever done it to begin a season. That's usually because, hey, if you're a good team or a decent team, you're not going to lose 7 straight here. The Braves did play the Padres and the Dodgers. Tough. I mean, both those teams were undefeated, you know, until last night here. They get the Marlins here. Good chance they will win all 3 here. I'm going to buy this. They'll still make the playoffs. They make a lot of teams make the playoffs in baseball. Buy.
My heart says buy. History says sell. So I'm going to sell. I don't know. They dug a big hole for themselves here. I think that my opinion would change if they did win all 3 games this weekend, but long season, I guess we'll see. We'll be right back. It's up on FST next.
These guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with it, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Coming up in 5 minutes and 30 seconds from now, we've got Betting Above the Rim with Coach Young, Joe Lisi, and Kevin Walsh. In-game live game day at noon with Ranieri and Tom Vecchio. Wetzel and Madden on in-game live game day. That's Joe. And then Bracket Central tonight with Ben and Coach, followed by Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi to wrap it all up. And you can watch all of these shows via the SportsGrid app. Just take out your phone and scan that QR code. Folks, SportsGrid is free, and we are streaming free, and that app is free. So just download it and watch all of our shows, including Fantasy Sports Today, tomorrow morning as well. It'll be Joe Pisapia and Matt Stryker hosting that show. All right, let's wrap up the show. George is going on vacation, folks. So for the final time for about a couple of weeks here, it's time now for George's SportsGrid 60.
All right, last night, listen, I know we're a big baseball show. We had a football segment here. I'm a hockey guy. All right, last night, Alexander Ovechkin, winger for the Washington Capitals, tied the great Wayne Gretzky with 894 career NHL goals. It's a fantastic achievement, especially in this day of the NHL where it's hard to score goals. All right, the goalies are so big in net, man. There's not much room here. No one is saying that Ovechkin is a better player than Gretzky. All right, Gretzky has more assists than any other player has points. That's just nuts, not to mention the 894 goals. But Alexander Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer in NHL history here. I thought it was pretty cool last night. Ovechkin tied the record, I think in the second period with 894, but he didn't want to break the record of the third period with the empty net. Washington was up 5-3, the net was empty, and Ovechkin told the coach, no, I'm not going out there. He wants to be the goaltender. I find it very interesting. They play the Islanders tomorrow, but it's on Long Island. Washington has nothing to play for. The Islanders have nothing to play for here. I wonder if Ovechkin takes the day off. Their next game is home, I think Thursday night against Columbus. He should do it in front of the home fans. He should. So I sort of kind of hope that he takes tomorrow. It has nothing to do with the Islanders. I actually want the Islanders to lose, so I'm better if he plays. But I wonder if he takes that day off to do it in front of the home fans on later this week. That being said, I believe that game tomorrow is a nationally televised game. Gretzky, Bettman, the NHL commissioner are following Ovechkin around, so maybe he will play. Maybe he will set the record. But congratulations to Alexander Ovechkin on tying Wayne Gretzky's NHL all-time goals record.
Yeah, fantastic record. Sam, our producer, says it's the best in all of sports history. I don't know, but if you want to believe that, that's fine. I think, the story of the week that started off that's become a non-story so fast, because that's the world we live in now, are the torpedo bats. For about 48 hours, people were saying that this was going to be the biggest story in sports this year, and it's quickly faded. But for one website, it has not. And this is something I can't believe, because I got a lot of respect for the fantasy operators, and that would include Yahoo Sports. But Yahoo, I do not need to know which of my players is using a torpedo bat. I mean, seriously? Does this necessarily mean that every single player you're listing, because it says now on the player profile, using a torpedo bat? What does this mean? So when a pitcher throws a new pitch, like a sweeper, do we incorporate pitcher throwing the sweeper? If somebody comes up and is throwing a knuckleball, do we now on their player profile show throws the knuckleball? Come on. We are influencing in the wrong direction here. It's not the bat, it is the player. A lot of players have already come out and said it. And if a torpedo bat ends up helping, then you know that several other players are going to use it too. I've had a chance to talk to a lot of people about this. This is something that is real in terms of mental, but it is still the player that has to actually have the ball hit that part of the bat. And thus far, yes, we've seen some success, but we're a long way from knowing if this is actually going to work. Yahoo, do us a favor. Get rid of that little thing that says torpedo bat. We don't need it. We understand that some people are using different equipment. It is not going to solve anybody's hitting issues, and it is not going to be the story of baseball this year, I can assure you. George, have a great vacation. I know you're headed down to Florida, not my end of Florida, but enjoy your time off, and we'll see you back here in a few weeks. Thanks again.
Oh, my pleasure. Looking forward to it. Obviously, we had a couple of Yankee games in Tampa on the 17th and 18th. Going to hit Steinbrenner Field. I'll let you know how that field plays.
All right. Looking forward to seeing George in a couple of weeks. Thanks again to Sam, our producer. I'm Craig Mish. Enjoy the programming the rest of the day, including the Final Four coming up later today. Don't forget, another edition of FST coming your way Sunday morning with Joe Pisapia and Matt Stryker. 1 week from today, I'll be back with you again at 8 a.m. Eastern for our next edition of Fantasy Sports Today. It'll be me and Joe Pisapia next Saturday, as we'll have 2 weeks of the fantasy baseball season in the books. Enjoy your weekend, everyone, and we'll see you back here next week.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. 4 number ones, 4 champions, 4 teams that battled and clawed their way here. But here's the thing about 4 number ones. Only one can truly be number one.
Incredibly difficult.
When the stakes are highest, there's only one place to get all your betting insights. SportsGrid. We've got you covered until only one remains. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The team we expected to be a national championship frontrunner all season long and even before the big dance. That is the Duke Blue Devils.
I don't care that people are like, oh, anticlimactic. You have the 4 best teams lined up, superstar coaches, young coaches, old coaches, veteran teams, young teams. This has got a lot of great storylines heading to the Final Four this weekend.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.